Hey, welcome to the palace where the gates are always open. It's your boy Jerry, aka Calgero, in the Star Wars sense, with another episode with our boy Bab. Say what's up,
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
BB4D, the
What up,
droid
everyone?
himself.
Gonna get right into another heater episode here.
Yep, Mando Season 2 recap video. I know you guys been waiting for it. Sorry it took a little longer to get it out. This is our Star Wars Sense episode 10, Mando recap Season 2. We're gonna get right into it. First episode of Season 2 is actually it's Chapter 9, continuation of the first story. It's called The Marshal. Introduces us to a new character played by my boy the Marshal, Timothy Oliphant, right here. I like this guy, Cobb Vanth, right? So he's the Marshal. Talk a little bit about it, and then the introduction to this greater, crate dragon and stuff, Babos, and then I'll add it to you.
So that first episode is the Mandalorian, right? Din Djarin, searching for any other ones of his kind, and I guess he finds one on Tatooine, but it's not really a Mandalorian. It's just someone with Boba Fett's armor, right? So he makes a bargain with him. If he helps defeat a crate dragon, then he'll give them the armor back. And it's actually a greater crate dragon, right? It's a huge one, a massive one that apparently is living in a sarlacc den, which would imply that it ate the sarlacc that was living in that den, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, it's a cool episode. They have a pretty cool fight with the crate dragon and actually manage to kill it. So the Tusken Raiders take the pearl, which is one of their most prized possessions, and then they're happy and they all go their separate ways. The Mandalorian takes the armor, and then we can go to the next episode there.
Yeah, well, real quick, he teams up with him, right? He says, if you help me defeat the dragon who was hunting, I guess, his town, then I'll give you the armor, which is right here. Pretty cool. Marshall, we don't know if we've seen the last of him, but cool. I love Timothy Oliphant, who played another Western-esque player or character in Justified. So check that out. So, all right, moving on to episode number 2. Let's go back here. That would be chapter 10. Sorry, a little lag right here. Oh, let's go back. Where's our little music at? Oh, takes a little while. Sorry, guys.
We're all good.
Come on. Season 2. Okay, next episode. The Passenger. I'm just going to read a little part here. The Mandalorian must ferry a passenger with precious cargo on a
it's the lizard lady. So basically, after not actually successfully finding any Mandalorians, the pilot mechanic lady basically introduces the Mandalorian to this lizard person who's one of the last of her species and needs to transport her eggs to her husband, which is on a neighboring planet, but they can't go into hyperspace. That's the only drag, the only downside. So they actually have to fly there, actually fly there through space, which is actually really dangerous to do because you can get hit by different debris and stuff. And yeah, so it's kind of risky, and it actually happens. So they crash land onto an ice planet, and they have to fight these spiders and stuff. It's a decent episode. It's not bad, yeah. So
it's a fun episode. This episode was actually directed by Peyton Reed. So the first episode was directed by Jon Favreau, who directed and show runs the whole show. But this one was directed by Peyton Reed, who's the director of the Ant-Man movies. So he was very excited to do this episode because of the characters, and he actually told Jon Favreau, he goes seriously, he goes, I got ants to deal with, and they giving me spiders. So really cool episode. I like the action in it. Just a little tidbit to share with you guys.
And those are the same exact spiders you see in Star Wars Rebels on Ezra's homeworld. So yeah,
and they get to her homeworld, which is the water world where the Mon Calamari were. Is that right?
Well, it wasn't that. That's just where her husband was. It's not her home planet or anything. It's just where her husband was there.
Got it. And then, but she's also transporting these eggs, and is that the last of her species?
That's like the last of her species, yeah. And Grogu's eating them like
He's not eating
snacks,
them.
like a
He's just
stinky guy.
spawning. He
No, he was
spawned.
eating them. He was eating them in the episode.
No eggs were harmed in the episode. Just so you guys know. Yeah, I know he did. But, you know,
Stinker guy.
all right, so that's episode 10, The Passenger. Let's see if we can get to the next one because I don't want to lag you guys on this. Looks like I need some faster internet, huh, guys? So next one is going to be Chapter 11, The Heiress. I'm just going to read the subtitle on this one. The Mandalorian braves high seas and meets unexpected allies. So
Fights
this is
with
actually episode, right? This one is
Bo-Katan. Yeah, that's Bo-Katan's intro. Talks about well, I guess she was introed in the last episode, but this is where I think they
I think technically she popped up in this, maybe. No?
I think they were in the last one though, on the water world at the end. Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Or maybe that was just maybe it was in the start. I'm not sure, but this is her story though. Yeah.
This one's directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. You know who she is, right? She's an actress.
No, I don't actually.
She's an actress that's been in a lot of movies. She's in the Jurassic World movies as well. But she's been directing a lot of stuff recently, and
Nice.
she directed some in Mando. This is Mando. But she directed this episode, and she is actually the daughter of Ron Howard, who directed the Solo movie, who's a very good friend of George Lucas, just in case you guys didn't know that. But in this episode, this is where they encounter Bo-Katan, right? Bo-Katan, the Mandalorian, was played by her counterpart from the Rebels and the Clone Wars, Kate Sackhoff.
The voice actor, which is really cool, and she actually looks like Bo, which is cool, I think.
I love it. And we talked about this, and we'll talk more about it. But Bo-Katan, badass. I mean, she's a badass, right?
Yeah.
Is she a true Mandalorian? Tell us a little bit about the history.
Oh yeah, for sure. She has true lineage, absolutely, 100%.
So there will be more characters that you will encounter who might come into the live action that have been voiced by their actual voice characters that are also going to play live action. I'm hoping to see
awesome. That. Me too.
I'm hoping to see that trend, especially with another bluish character.
So in that episode, yeah, they fight the Imperial forces on that ship, and basically Bo-Katan was trying to find the whereabouts of the Darksaber, or if she could locate.
That's right.
Any information on it, and then after that, basically she says, "Go find Ahsoka Tano on this world." So that keys into the next episode here, which is the.
Well, because did she say if they can take the child or do you know of a Jedi? Is that right? And then they pointed her to say the Ahsoka Tano line, right?
Yeah. So she points Mando to Ahsoka Tano, and then you get the next episode. Or
look at those.
You're showing the.
Look at those Mandos. Yeah.
Pictures of these ones. Okay.
Mandalorians. Yeah. But that's from the same episode. But that's just cool. All right.
Yeah,
we'll go to the next one over here, then we'll talk about the next episode. So that was a cool one. And go to the next one here. That's chapter 11. So that would have been the third one.
Yeah, so the next one actually intros with Ahsoka's blades, which is really cool. I'm seeing white lightsabers in canon.
Before we get there, we got this episode, The Siege.
Which one?
Chapter 12.
Oh, there was one actually before that?
Mm-hmm.
Which one was that?
The Siege, I think, is when they were fleeing with Carl Weathers and with the character. This one was actually, we did talk about this on our previous unavailable episode. Carl Weathers, the actor here, directed this episode. Remember, this is the one where they're running into the chase. This was cool.
Oh yeah, this is. I forgot about this one. Yeah.
This is another little fun.
The Snoke teaser, right? Or like Snoke Easter egg with the cloning. Yeah. This is
cool because really they had to destroy that. They want. I think they're destroying that base.
The lab, that science lab,
This was actually to me, it's an underrated episode. I don't know what you think.
Absolutely. Not bad, yeah. It's a pretty good episode.
Not bad. They had a Let me just see real quick. Talk a little bit about what you know about the Snow clones.
Well, like that's the thing, right? Like it was orchestrated and it was Palpatine essentially, right? Like doing it, and
Well,
that's
they were
revealed.
extracting.
And
The reason they got these clones is what they're extracting Baby Yoda Grogu's blood, right?
yeah, it was something to do with that. Exactly, right? To
Pretty creepy, man. Look at that.
hmm it's really weird, dude.
Yeah,
It's
those dark, you know, dark side folk, had some crazy stuff that they were, together. So, anyways, that was a pretty cool episode, directed by Carl Weathers. I don't remember if there was any other clones. We already saw the clone there, so we'll continue on to the next episode here.
yeah. The next episode intros with the white lightsabers, which is cool
Yeah.
seeing them in canon for the first time. Because yeah, we've never seen them or not in canon, in live action.
So
So
the Jedi, Mandalorian travels to a world looking for a Jedi so he can essentially have Grogu trained by somebody of his own kind or somebody that could understand him. And
that one's kind of has a weird title because Ahsoka isn't actually a Jedi, but yeah, kind
yeah,
of.
she's a cross, right? I
Well,
like
she's no longer a Jedi, like at
Yeah,
all. Like she
true.
said it herself, right? In Rebels,
But the
she says
episode is led to believe it was called the Jedi, I believe, because Mando assumed that he was going to see a Jedi.
assumes, yeah, I guess so. Yes.
And then the audience doesn't know. So
Mhm,
unless you know the lore.
mhm.
Now, in this particular case, we'll talk a little bit about Ahsoka Tano, right? Played by Rosario Dawson. I love Rosario Dawson, amazing actress, incredible, gorgeous woman, but she is a great actress. She she though isn't being played by her voice character of Ashley Eckstein in this case. I'm not too upset about it. Some people were, but I think she killed the performance. And she also, if you guys already know, is getting her own spin-off show from Lucasfilm on Disney Plus, the Ahsoka Tano, to be helmed by Dave Filoni, who is the apprentice or the Padawan of Jon Favreau. Talk about what your thoughts were overall on this episode and introduction to the live action Ahsoka.
That was a cool episode, really awesome. They had to defeat like the corrupt power in that village, and yeah, no, like I said, you got the introduction of the white lightsabers, which have a unique hum to them when they're ignited. So yeah, no, really, really cool episode. And the
Yeah, he was
Mandalorian
going
gets
back.
that Beskar staff as well at
And
the
the
end.
reason
So
who gets the best scar staff?
the Mandalorian does.
Mandalorian. The Mandalorian gets the best scar staff because Ahsoka defeated
Hmm.
this princess or for the staff. And then this particular part was an epic name drop where she says, "Tell me where Grand Admiral Thrawn is." That was one of my favorite parts of the show. I freaking lost it. I was like, "Oh shit!" I don't know about you, man. Again, we talked about this in our last episode.
Well,
Star Wars.
like I'm a huge Thrawn guy, bro. So yeah, dude, that's
You flipped out.
crazy, man.
I loved it. So
That's nutty, dude.
so
That
that's
means that Thrawn is definitely coming to
he'll
live action,
he's
which
going to
is
be in Ahsoka Tano. So in the
wow.
Ahsoka Tano show, they've already cast um our boy Ezra. Ezra has been cast. He's being played by the actor who played the live action Aladdin is playing the live action Ezra Bridger. Watch out for that. For me, I believe Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be played by his voice character of Lads Mikkelsen, who did the voice in Star Wars and in Clone Wars or in Rebels, and I think he's going to do the live action. I think it's bound to be. I think it's going to happen. I can't wait. Now I also think, which is kind of cool, right? You know this. His brother, Mads Mikkelsen, plays Galen Erso, Jen's father from Star Wars Rogue One story. So they got to bring him in. So that's my deal. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how that's all connected, and yeah, they will. So it's pretty awesome. I just can't wait to see Thrawn.
I can't wait, dude. And the Beskar spear ended up getting. It was earned or defeated. It was won by Ahsoka, but then she gave it to Mando. So really
We
cool, man.
can we can talk about Thrawn in a whole separate episode, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
a Chiss species from the Outer Rim. So
But ultimately, at the end of this episode, does Ahsoka get Grogu, or do we go to another episode? Let's go to the next episode. Let's find out more. Let's go to the next episode. So that's the Jedi, but not so Jedi. So is she a gray Jedi, or is she a
well, no,
gray?
no, she's like she's like removed herself from the Jedi Order completely, right? Well, she
Mhm.
was allowed to come back in because she was actually like exiled by the
Yeah,
council, and
yeah.
then like falsely accused, and then she's like, no, I'm not coming back because you guys like accused me and you didn't believe me, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
that at
then
the end of that episode, she says, "I'm not worthy to," or in maybe less words, I'm not the one to train him. You need to take him to somebody else." She did do that because that was the only time she had no spoilers because this is a full spoiler episode. That was the only time she showed up in the series in this season of Mando. She didn't pop up anymore. So that was the time when she said, "You're gonna have to take him to somebody else."
yeah,
Yep. And so how they were going to find that out? Essentially, the child had a call, in this temple. In the next episode, the tragedy, and he had to call a Jedi through his powers to try to. Essentially, it was like a beacon call to find him. Who was going to answer that call? So this one, which would have been I think 7, 8, 9. So I don't even remember. The tragedy is directed by one of my favorite directors, Robert Rodriguez, who directed Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Dust Till Dawn. I love this guy. He actually spearheaded the Boba Fett show later on, but this was the introduction to Boba Fett. And
yeah, and it's the introduction of the Dark Troopers as well, which are really cool.
yeah, and maybe not the full introduction because he was teased in one of the episodes in the season one. We saw him in the hills, but the first full introduction in the show. And you're right, the Death Troopers, Dark Troopers, right? Yeah, they were freaking awesome. That scene at the in the episode when they were deployed was fire, dude. I love the scene. So tell us about this episode. What are your thoughts? Introduction to Boba, and then the Dark Troopers.
So yeah, Boba, we see him get his armor and everything, and then yeah, we see the introduction of these crazy troops that have been made, and yeah, they steal Grogu and they take him. They fly away with them. So
He ran out of his powers. He got weak because of that call he made, right?
because he meditated, yeah, and he was
Try
out
to
of
try
energy.
contact the Jedi, right? A Jedi. And then and also what ended up happening as a result of this tragedy. This has a twofold tragedy. I always thought this. The tragedy number one, Grogu gets taken. Tragedy number two, Razor Crest gets demolished.
Blasted, yeah.
And so there was two tragedies. And another fun fact, and this is Boba Fett, right, with Fennec Shan. Fun fact: this area where this was taking place and filmed, it's actually 30 minutes from my old hometown in Simi Valley. It was all recorded in Simi Valley. So just wanted to shout that out. Shout out to my Southern California friends. So Boba Fett was badass. He was killing these fools. Got his. Another thing I want to talk about real quick before we end this recap of this episode was he was questioned by Din Djarin, and he was saying, "You're not a true Mandalorian," and then he had to pull out his what was it? His what was it on his on his armor, like that little crest or whatever. You talk about that?
Oh, to like prove he was a real Mandalorian, I guess.
That I was a foundling or something. Remember?
Yeah, I don't actually think like Boba himself really is like a foundling, right? Because
but he showed him something out of his armor. I'm trying to find an image of it, where he then proved himself to Mando, and Mando was like, "Oh, dang, yeah, you
He is
are."
he is
He didn't,
lineage, yes. He has
he didn't
actual
believe him.
Mandalorian blood in him, yeah.
He didn't believe him at first.
But like at the same time, I guess you could say that every clone is like also to the same extent Mandalorian. But like Boba is a 1-for-1 clone, so I don't know.
Yeah. And at the end of the episode, they were going up in the air, and then they were going in Boba's ship. And epic shot was when he did that. What did he call that? That
That's
blast?
Sonic,
Yeah, the
the
Sonic.
Sonic grenade.
This
Yeah.
is it. This is the scene where he did this, and he proved him. This is me. This is my suit. I'm really a Mandalorian. This was the scene.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome stuff. All right, moving on. So we'll talk more about Boba Fett and Fennec Shan, obviously, who's there, on the recap of Boba Fett on one of our next future here.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna continue on. I think we got a couple more left here. All right. So let's talk about the Believer. This is when they were going through. Talk about it when they were. They needed to get the information of where the location of Moff Gideon is, where he was holding Grogu, right? So they needed to infiltrate this base off a different island, and they needed to get somebody to go with them. So they hired Mayfield to go with them, picking him up out of the scrapyard because he was just paying his debt to society because of his season 1 antics. Played by Bill Burr, funny ass comedian. I love him.
I love his character, and I like him in Star Wars, man. And Bill Burr has a passion for it, so I'm welcome, absolutely welcome to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So
100%.
They're going through these minefields and these tankers, right? They gotta essentially get through to get to this base where then Mando would gather the intel through a USB drive or whatnot of where he's located, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about this episode. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, it was all actually just to find the location of Grogu, so they had to go in disguise. They come in these like minor type.
These things right here, these minor tankers.
Minor, exactly.
Oil
type.
tankers. They're transporting oil or something, fuel or something, right?
Exactly. Into like the base.
And then they got the base. And not many people made it that far. Honestly, a few vehicles. A lot of them there was pirates that were getting taking them over, or they were hitting the mines and they were getting blown up. So it was a wild ride. It was a fun episode. It was an entertaining episode. I liked a lot of it.
And then the big deal was that he had to exactly take off his mask to scan.
He had to take off his mask because he had to do the
helmet to scan. Yeah.
Yep. So then he can get the insight. This was one of my favorite episodes. This is Sonic Boom he did later.
Boom.
He did it. He did it. Might have been done it there. So really cool. Really cool. This is where they got Mayfield. I liked it. I liked it. The big scene obviously was when he took his mask off. You talked about it, and this was the first time that he took it off when he's not technically supposed to as a Mandalorian, right? So it was a big deal, and he did it. And then they got out of there, thankfully, right? They got the USB location. Anything else you want to add on this one before we go to the next episode?
No, that's pretty much it. But that's crazy though. Yeah, that he had to sacrifice that part of him to save Grogu. So
right,
it was a big deal.
Going on to the final episode here. This was a good season, man. I don't know about you, but it was a good rush. I can't wait. Season 3. It's coming out the end of this year. Season 3. I think it's officially November, maybe October, November. I can't wait for season 3. So the final episode, the rescue. Who are they rescuing? Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. So this episode, directed by my boy Peyton Reed, again gets called up to the big. Well, he's already in the big leagues by Disney to go direct this episode. Well, guess what? You did the Ice Planet episode with the ice spiders. I'm going to give you a nice treat. Why don't you rescue our boy Grogu with a little bit of old flair from some previous.
They gave him the Luke action, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so awesome episode. Awesome episode. So Moff Gideon is hiding Grogu because they're trying to extract his blood to try to go create these clones, essentially another set of clones, or maybe just spawn of the dark side, right? I mean, this is packed with crazy, right? Talk about it.
So yeah, so they have Grogu locked down, and Moff Gideon is standing there with the dark saber, and yeah, he has to fight him, and he actually successfully wins. So he takes the dark saber, and
yep, he's holding the dark saber. They all have to try to get in there, infiltrate it, which they do. They get through to get into the ship. Moff Gideon is, says he'll fight essentially, Mando for the saber. We also have another side story plot with our girl, shoot, I'm losing her name. Bo-Katan, who's also wanting a piece of that saber action, right? So there's another side plot with Bo-Katan. So they go over here. They obviously infiltrate. They got inside. They get her back to recruit. So talk about what's going on the ship here.
So they have to. Well, obviously the other crew kind of has to take over the rest of the job, and then it's the Mandalorian's job to find and locate Grogu. So he does, and Bo-Katan's reasoning to get the darksaber is because she wants to take back the throne of Mandalore, right? So if you hold the saber and you're the rightful owner of it, you have right to lay claim to the throne of like the, I guess, Mandalorian tribes, I guess, on Mandalore. So because they're kind of severed at this point in the Star Wars timeline. So
and then they hear and sense a force coming, right? Our boy Grogu senses somebody coming in a starfighter and deploys. Happens to have a saber, dark cloak. Maybe it's a Sith Lord, who knows? But the color ends up having to be green. I think a lot of you guys know what we're talking about.
Well, he came in on an X-wing, so we knew it wasn't a Sith.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just teasing. So blasting through these pieces of metal, dark troopers,
just destroying them, dude. Just them. No problem, no issue.
Yeah, and then my favorite part, which I don't have the still of it, at least I can't find it, is when he crushes them with the Force.
Yeah, it was a little taste of Luke right there for everyone that actually hasn't seen him.
Big reveal. It's Luke Skywalker who's there.
And R2's there too.
R2's there. So a little de-aging action, but we know it's Luke. We were all flipped out when it happened. And then the next thing is he needed permission. He said, "Okay, he's yours, right?" They do a little exchange with Moff Gideon about the darksaber with Katan. Like he said, Mando said, "I don't care about the darksaber. Take it." And then Moff Gideon says, "She can't take it. It's yours. You defeated me. She has to defeat you." And she says, "I don't want it. I forfeit it." Right? Couldn't happen that way because the way it works, right? Well, that happened. That exchange happened, and that kind of got finished. And then it's time to deliver baby Grogu to Luke. And before he goes over, Grogu looks back, and then Mando looks at Luke, and Luke says, "He's asking for your permission." He asked for his permission. That's the end of it. And then he takes his mask off so he can see him, and he gets emotional, and he unveils himself. A true Mandalorian never shows his face.
Yeah, the Grogu actually like interacts with R2 as if he's met R2-D2 before, which is kind of weird, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that, like just the way that they kind of
It's just
look at each other. So
saying this is goodbye. So we're gonna see him again.
kind of cool.
Don't know. Watch the next episode of recaps with the Star Wars Sense crew, me and Babs. You see R2 right there, lower in your action. Overall, awesome episode.
Awesome. Favorite
Awesome.
of Mandalorian right there. Banger.
I mean, it was intense. Jon Favreau delivered, Peyton Reed delivered, Lucasfilm delivered, Disney Plus delivered, Kathleen Kennedy, oddly enough, delivered, but because she trusted in Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni delivered. Awesome. How are they going to top season 3? We got a little bit of a sneak peek of what might happen in a little tidbit of Boba Fett, which we will recap next, but you have to wait and see. So, thanks again,
Tune
guys.
in to find out. Thanks for tuning in, though.
Yep, thanks for tuning in.
Discord.
Catch you on the next one. We really appreciate y'all. Peace.
Like and sub.
Yeah, and comment. Tell us what you think, and tell us what you want us to talk about about Star Wars. Thanks.
Peace out.